Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Christian Music Bros podcast with Brendan and Braden. I'm once again Brendan, and there's Braden.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
And thank you for tuning in. How are you today, Braden?
Doing pretty good today. It's been an interesting week, but I'm having a good, restful day. How about you?
Pretty good. I'm going to go see Brandon Lake later tonight, so that's going to be a fun time.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. That's a show you don't want to miss.
Definitely. And if you guys have the chance, go check out Brandon Lake. If he's coming to a city near you. I know he just announced a new tour with Phil Wickham and Holvey for the summer worship night, so make sure to check out those dates as well.
For sure.
And today we are with Jillian Warman, so we're going to let Jillian introduce herself now. So go ahead.
Hello, I'm Jillian, and I'm so excited to be here. I've just been watching the guys' podcast, and they're so good at what they do. So it's an honor to be here and talk a little bit about my music and a little bit about what's going on.
Thank you. Let's just dive in right away. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background with music?
Yes. So I have a classical music background, and I started that when I was really little. So music has basically been a part of my life kind of since the very beginning. And I started out with classical piano, classical violin, and a lot of other things too. And so that gave me a really good base for what I'm doing now. And I was competing in classical competitions, stuff like that. And so that was kind of my main thing for a long time. And then when I was a teenager, I felt very called to lead worship. And so thankfully, I was a part of a great church with a youth group that gave me that opportunity. And I got some really, really good training and started leading worship there. And I still lead worship. I'm a very passionate worship leader. And so I started doing that. And then when I got a little bit older, I decided that I wanted to start really focusing on writing and recording my original music. And so I'd been writing since I was a teenager, but hadn't really done a whole lot with it. And thankfully, the Lord just started connecting me with some really, really great people in the music industry and some songwriters and everything. And so that's when I started going back and forth to Nashville and doing the co-writes and all that kind of stuff. And it's been a really, really great journey. So I've been going back and forth to Nashville for a few years now and just kind of like building up, just the amount of songs that I have. You have to write a lot to really kind of exercise that songwriting muscle and really hone your craft and really I feel like get your music where you need it to be. So I've been writing for a few years, and like I said, being in rooms with just incredibly talented people and people that I could glean from. And then the Lord connected me with some other amazing people in the industry, and my manager is incredible. And yeah, that's kind of led me to where I'm at now. So I've released 3 songs now, and going to be releasing some more in the summertime. And I'm actually about to go to Nashville and write and record a little bit more. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey from classical to
Mhm.
worship to, like basically Christian contemporary. I have sort of a folky slant on that. But yeah, it's been a really cool journey. And I feel like the Lord has used every single part of my journey to get me to where I am today. So
This is where are you a worship leader? Just curious. So you keep saying you're a worship leader. Like, whereabouts are you?
I lead worship in Austin, Texas, and in San Antonio, Texas. So I'm mainly at 2 different churches, but then I also kind of make my rounds and contract out at a bunch of different churches. So.
So cool. And Texas from Nashville is kind of a hike.
A little bit. And normally I fly, which, it's really easy, 2 hour nonstop. But this time I'm actually driving. So I'm going to like take the 14 hours or so and split it up over a couple of days. And the road trip from here to Nashville is I think it's really interesting. I have some favorite stops along the way. So,
You see, I'm from Michigan, and I'm actually going to Nashville too. So like,
okay. Very nice.
yeah. Brad, anything you want to add off that? No.
Yeah, I love that. And like you said about, you released 3 songs so far. What was it like taking that step, being your life so much around in music to releasing your first song? What was it like actually, releasing that for a first time, having it out there for everyone to hear?
Oh my gosh. It was terrifying. I had been asked for so many years, like, do you have anything on Spotify? Do you have anything released? And so I was excited because I was gonna finally be able to, have some of my original stuff out there. I had been on, other people's stuff, and being a multi-instrumentalist, I'd played violin, fiddle stuff on different people's records. I'd done BGVs on stuff, but to have my own music out in the world, it was equally exciting and terrifying, but the best kind of terrifying. So I was you have to be vulnerable in getting your art out there. Every artist has to be vulnerable. I mean, you have to just know who you are and be very confident in that. And because you're gonna have the people that love your music and you're gonna have the people it's not their thing, and that's okay. And you have to be just so confident and sure of that, and just also knowing that for me, it's an offering to the Lord. Like it is just an extension of my ministry. I mean, I lead worship in a church building, but in the music that I release, in my original stuff, to me, it is every bit as much worship as when I'm leading worship on Sunday morning. And so I had to tell myself that, in the vulnerability and kind of the scariness of it all, like this is my worship, and if like me and my mom are the only ones that listen to it, it's okay. You have to be okay with that. And but it's really cool the things that I've actually heard from various listeners and the ways that the songs have impacted people, people that I know, many people that I don't know, and that have just either messaged me or I was staying in an Airbnb and the host found my music, and like I hadn't mentioned that at all to her. It's like I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm Jillian, I have music on Spotify. So she actually found it, and I had to have her like come to the house to, I don't remember, towels or something, and she was like, oh my gosh, I looked up your music and I started listening to it, and she's like almost crying and telling me that how much the music was giving her hope and everything. And I'm just like, wow, the Lord, he's so cool, and how he gets the message out there, and to be used by the Lord in this way is just absolutely incredible. So yeah, it's been a really cool thing getting my music out there. But the first one is like just getting it out there and getting your Spotify and your Apple Music and all of that live. It's absolutely incredible. And no other experience past like getting your first one out there is quite like it. So it's just kind of like monumental.
For sure. That's amazing how God uses it from the first release to all of them to come. That's amazing.
Yes.
And that's the one reason why Brett and I could do the podcast. We like hearing people's stories and like things like that. Like you would never know that about you if like, you didn't say anything. So
Yeah.
You said you had 3 singles out now. Can you tell us a little bit about those singles? You don't have to talk about every single one, just a couple of them, or one, or all three. Up to you.
Sure. Yeah, it's like, how much time do you have now? So
It's
yeah.
11:09, so I have till 3 o'clock this afternoon. So story time.
You shouldn't have told me that. Okay. Yeah, the first one honestly was really special because there had been a lot just going on in the world, as there always is, but there had been some tragedies that had recently happened on US soil. And the writers, my incredible writers, Brandon Heath and Taylor Leonhardt and Paul Duncan, we were just thinking of all of those things going on, and how not every song has to make everything, like tie everything up in a pretty little bow and make everything feel okay. Like sometimes we have to just sit in the pain and trust God, and trusting God is like the beauty of it. It's not so much having the answer in that moment or understanding why or anything like that. And so we were kind of sitting there like, how do we write about just sitting in that place? And sometimes that's hard as believers, because obviously we do believe the Lord does miracles and we know that he answers prayer and all of that. But sometimes I believe even for our own growth, the Lord allows us to sit in that place and in that headspace of, I don't like how things are going right now. It hurts, but I trust you. And so that's where So We Pray came from. And so, we wrote about how like, your kingdom come, your will be done. We just can pray in this moment, and we just believe that, that you have an answer. So We Pray kind of was born out of that thought. And then Weight of Your World actually was kind of, my notes app is like filled with fragments of stuff. And so many songs have phrases from things that I wrote down, but it primarily came from actually a lady I was sitting next to on the plane to Nashville, on the flight to Nashville. And I always pretty much always fly Southwest. And so like, I'm the person looking for like a kind face. I'm like, where do I want to sit? And she looked welcoming. And so I sat next to her, and there was no one in the middle. So she was window and I was aisle, and I was sitting there, and I don't know, I feel like I'm a very good like I read people really well. And so I was sitting there and I could just tell like she was carrying something really heavy. And it wasn't in anything she said. She was very sweet and accommodating, hey, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was very sweet. But it was like she was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. And it was in the way that she'd exhale. It was in the way that her body language. I like to read people's body language, and I feel like I can read kind of what they're thinking or feeling. And yeah, she was carrying a lot. And it was one of those situations where I didn't feel like she honestly wanted me to be like, hey, are you okay? What's wrong? So I just let her be. But I was sitting there praying and I said, Lord, like, how can I be used in this situation? Like, what should I do? I want to help her. I obviously want to take that weight off her shoulders, but I can't because, it's something that she's personally going through. But I felt like the Lord spoke to me and said, you're heading into a co-write literally in the morning. So I want you to write to her in this co-write, and I want you to write a message of encouragement to her, because what she's going through and what she's representing is what so many are going through. And so I went into the co-write the next day and discussed it with my writers, Jess Cates and Joe Williams, and kind of told them about the experience. And so Weight of Your World came out of that. And so it was a letter. I felt like from the Lord to us when we are going through those things, but it can also be a letter from us to someone else, to someone going through that. So it's one of those things that be God to us, a friend to a friend, whoever needs it. And so that's how Weight of Your World came along. And even when I mean, I know this might sound weird, but even when I listen to it, it encourages me. Like, I feel like the words that the Lord gave me are sometimes like me to me. And so I feel like, songs can be really cool like that, how they can minister to you even if you wrote them and have heard them a million times. So that's how Weight of Your World came along. And then the other one is Hold Me Jesus, and that is a cover of I believe it's a 1980s Rich Mullins song. And Rich Mullins has always been a huge inspiration to me. And I just feel like he is such a great example of how our lives can have their struggles and their storms, but we can lean on the Lord and he can rescue us in that. And also kind of going back to the So We Pray mentality, it's okay to just sit in that and to not be fixed immediately, but to just sit in that headspace of, I just need you to hold me, Lord. And so Hold Me Jesus has been a special song in my life. I primarily got familiar with it when I believe it was, I think it was Big Daddy Weave that covered it a while ago. But that's when I became more familiar with the song growing up, and it became something that, it helped me through a lot of seasons. And so I was really honored to cover it, and we kind of changed up the vibe and everything. And my producer Ben Garrett just like, oh, I just love what he did to it. I feel like he made it so magical. He remade it, which is hard to do, and he took it and he reinvented it. And yeah, so I'm really proud of that.
Cool. Sorry, I was just letting you go. Sorry, I just cut it. Cool. And I think the first song I heard from you is the When We Pray one. So that's where I discovered you personally. Brad, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I first discovered you, I believe, on Weight of Your World. I saw it randomly on social media, and I think I commented instantly because that song blew me away. It's still one of my favorite songs I've heard this year. And I love the message. I love how you bring it in there, your style. It's all so well. So I love how people are finding you, especially through social media, through playlists, through those random encounters that God does. It's amazing how that works.
Well, I appreciate that. Yes, the Lord, yeah, especially in this day and age, because we have social media helping us so much. But yeah, those random ways as well. So it's really cool. That's been my favorite part, honestly, is just seeing how God uses what I consider completely an offering of worship to him, and how God uses that in ways that I could never even imagine. He gets the music to people that I could never get it to. And the messages, honestly, globally, the messages that I've heard of the impact that the music has had on people, the hope that it's given people, which is like my number one goal, is to give people hope in the music. It's been absolutely incredible. I feel so humbled, like, that God would use anything that I did, and to just further his kingdom. It's surreal, and it's a real blessing.
Definitely. I love that. And just on a quick note, because we talked about all three songs you've done, which one would you say is your favorite one so far?
Oh, the both.
That is so difficult. That might be the hardest question you asked me today. I guess if I needed which I need this a lot, as we all do, like a burst of hope and like a pep in my step, probably Weight of Your World is going to give that to me the most. but being that I am like an absolute music nerd, like from the ins and outs of the production to the harmony to the chord progressions, I feel like they're all, you know, my favorite in that way, because that has meant a lot to me, like how all of it moves in the song. And I'm the one in the co-write going, can we actually do like 7 chords in this song instead of 3 or 4, and can we do this with production? And, you know, so I'm always, you know, just very interested in all of the technical stuff, and so I feel like all 3 of them really represent that well. But yeah, I guess if I just needed a jam and something to kind of like maybe get me out of a funk or give me some extra hope that I'm needing, Weight of Your World might do that the most.
Definitely. So cool.
Definitely agreed. And you said you had a new song coming out in the summer. We won't go into that because we don't want to spoil the surprise for everyone. So I don't want you guys feel like we don't want to like push boundaries or whatever, because management teams, record labels are like, you're not supposed to say this
You're
yet.
gonna get me in trouble.
So, but do you have anything else coming out in the future? Like, do you have any shows anyone can come check you out, support you, or anything else?
Yeah, no, that's something that I'm working really hard on right now, is to get some live stuff planned, because I really do want to you know, display the music that the Lord is giving me on some live stages, and get to meet people that are you know, experiencing hope through their music. And so I'm working on that. I have a great booking agent, and so we're kind of looking towards summer and fall and trying to get some stuff on the calendar. You know, I do worship conferences and stuff like that right now, but to get some festivals and different things underway will be really great. And because I have some stuff coming out in the summertime, I think it would be really nice to get to preview some of that stuff, or debut it, and also preview some unreleased stuff too, because there's more than one thing sitting there waiting to be released. And so and then I'll be recording more next week as well. And so I'm really honestly like cannot even describe how much I'm looking forward to getting out on the road, and you know, being able to just meet people and get the music like right in front of them, and get it in their ears and everything. So yeah, stay tuned. It'll definitely be something upcoming, and I'm really excited about that.
You know what you should do for King of Country? Just announce it to her. You should be their opening act.
I would accept. I would totally accept.
They just announced it to her, and I don't think they even announced an act. They just said,
guys, are you watching this? Are you watching this?
I doubt they're watching. We just have a few extra minutes with you today. We like to give our guests the floor to speak about anything they want to say, talk about. So we'll give you the floor now.
Oh, no pressure at all. Well, like I said earlier, I'm so honored to be speaking with you guys today. And it's like the journey from little classical pianist, you know, till now has been incredible, and getting to do stuff like this. And it's just, honestly, there's never a day that goes by that I'm not just kind of resting in that, I don't know, that surreal feeling of what is happening right now, that God would allow me to do this. I wrote my first song at 15, and it made it on like a little youth project thing, and which I need to find because I have no idea where I put it. But it's like, I remember being in the tiny little vocal booth in my church and recording it and being like, this is so cool, I wrote this, you know, this is so neat. And to go from that and like my first song to, you know, having stuff out for people to hear all over the world, it's really cool. But I think what I would want, honestly, people to get from the music, and to even hear from me personally, is that my number one message, it's always going to be hope, and it's always going to be that I want each and every person that I have the honor of, you know, speaking to, or that get to hear my music, to know that they are loved, and to know that Jesus is for them, and that they can come to him boldly and without judgment, and just to be that coming to him is just coming home. And I want my music to relay that in every single sense of the word. That is my story. The Lord has rescued me from so much, and has just in so many beautiful and incredible and powerful ways reminded me that I am always loved no matter what, that I can't outrun him, that I can't outrun his love, and I can't outrun his forgiveness. And I feel like, you know, in those seasons when I've tried, you know, the Lord could always run faster, and he'd always be right there. And he's like, I'm never going to stop loving you. And so when I started having the opportunity to get my music out for people, honestly, that's honestly all I wanted them to know through the music, through the chords, through the lyrics, all of it, is that they are so loved, and that he will always chase them down and surround them with his love, and they can't outrun that. Nothing they could ever do will make that love lessen. And I feel like if we all just rested in that and truly accepted that, we would be able to enjoy the most incredible peace. And so if my music brings hope and peace to listeners, then I feel like I've done my job. And my calling is not in one thing that I do. My calling isn't like just music or just my calling, the way I see it, is literally to bring honor and glory to the Lord and to love people. And so music is a tool that I get to do that with. And so as long as I am living a life worthy of my calling, then I feel like I am honoring the Lord, and I'm honoring the people that he puts in my path. So yeah, I just, that's my goal in any music that I release. And I truly hope that that is what is happening, that people are feeling loved and full of hope, and that they know in the lyrics and in the chords and everything that they get from the music that that they're very special, and that they are very loved. So that's all I want to do. So I plan to do that as long as I can.
That's really cool. And for those who are listening to the podcast, make sure to check out Jillian's Instagram page, her Facebook page. I think she has a Facebook page. I don't know. Do you have a Facebook page?
I need to work on the Facebook part, but I definitely have Instagram. And if you love dogs, follow me on Instagram, because my dogs are going to be all over it. So it's basically a fan page for my dogs, and then I just post some music stuff along with it. So.
And then you can also find her on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and all that, and check out her music. And Brad, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah, thank you again for joining us. We loved hearing your heart about your music, all of that. And again, like Brandon said, if anyone here is listening, check out her music, listen to it, follow her. You definitely will not be disappointed.
Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. And for those who are listening, we'll see you next time on the Christian Music Bros podcast. And we hope you have a great week.